Welcome into the Locked On Knicks podcast. If there was ever a night that deserved two shows, it was this one. What a win. What a moment. What's wrong with Jalen Brunson? We get into it now on Locked On Knicks.
You are Locked On Knicks, your daily New York Knicks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Knicks, your favorite daily New York Knicks podcast. I want to thank you for making Locked On Knicks your second listen today and only. Normally it should be your first listen, but today your first listen should be the first episode of Locked On Knicks, our initial game recap, us just going crazy for 10 minutes, telling you this one wrapped up, and then getting into the heroics of Isaiah Hartenstein, Donte DiVincenzo, and Josh Hart. But Alex, that left a lot of meat on the bone. And also, people don't know who you are yet. I'm Gavin Schall, your favorite play-by-play broadcaster's favorite play-by-play broadcaster, which of course me to introduce Alex, who is the editor-in-chief of the Strickland Alex Wolfe. That is the greatest Knicks website in the whole wide world. You can check them out on all forms of social media at thestrict.land. Alex, if you can't tell, my brain is a little scrambled right now, and it's not because it's midnight. It's because I probably had a few mini strokes in the midst of Donte DiVincenzo hitting what for my money is the best Knicks shot I've seen in my life. I reviewed the tape in my mind. I don't think there was a better one. Unfortunately, somehow we're going to have to start a little negative here in show two. Jalen Brunson continuing to struggle. And you said it perfectly at the end of the first show. So a little continuation for people who are coming straight over from that. If the Knicks had lost this game, we would have, instead of saying Jalen Brunson's name in depth for the first time at the 31-minute mark of that podcast, it probably would have been the entire first 30 minutes of this podcast. Is it just that the Sixers are defending him brilliantly? Is it that the shots he was making in the regular season simply aren't falling? Like, what is wrong with our guy right now? And can it get corrected? Because if he somehow continues to play like this, and I think we both doubt it's going to be this bad, but if it was this bad, I mean, it's not to say there haven't been good moments in there, but if it was this bad, this could still be a series.
I think it's a little column A, little column B as far as him just being off versus being defended really well. Like, I will give the Sixers credit. They're bothering him in a way that seems to be more effective than any other team so far this year. And I don't know if it's just the quality of defenders that they're throwing at him, which, like, I didn't know Kelly Oubre had it like that, but I guess he does. Like, he's really, they put anyone else on Brunson, he can kind of get to his spots the way that he normally would expect to. You know, like that happened when he had Tobias Harris on him. It happened when he had Batum on him. But when Oubre's on him, he's just blanketing him like nobody I've seen do this year on Jalen Brunson. But even so, he's still managing to kind of get his spots if they work out the right, actions for him. And, like, again, to Oubre's credit, he's being real slithery around screens and stuff like that. So it's harder for Brunson to kind of get those looks that he wants, but he was able to find a bunch of them, especially in the second half of this game, and just one after the other, after the other, after the other. They just missed and missed and missed and missed. And I don't entirely know why, because he was getting to where he wanted. He was getting getting the ball and then getting it into the deep post. That's his kitchen there, like that's like where he cooks, that's so many of the biggest shots that he made this year and that he's made over the last couple of years. He's made some big threes or whatever. He's made a big layup here and there, but most of them are those mid-range shots from the low post or from the high post, wherever he, happens to pull up. That's his bread and butter. And they were just clanging out. And there's honestly no explanation for it other than just he's off. He's very off. And we haven't seen him this off since early last season. And I mean, it's a heck of a time for it to happen because they really need him right now. But if he made even half of the shots that he would normally make down the stretch of this game, the Knicks win running away. And yet it turned into a last second, heroic performance by Donte DiVincenzo and Josh Hart and Brunson himself, to be fair. Finally saw that one go down with the high bouncing three-pointer prior to the Donte one to put it away. But it was a tough game for Brunson, dude. And, like, I don't know if the answer is quite so simple as just finding different ways to attack the Sixers so much as he just needs to make shots. That's it.
Yeah. I think Philadelphia, I said at the end of last show, I'll expand on it now. They've defended him better than I've seen him defended since he put on a Knicks jersey. And it's worth noting it wasn't this bad, but he did kind of struggle the first 2 games of last year's playoffs, if memory serves. Like he struggled to start the season. Like we have seen cold stretches from him in the past. I think it's just surprising because he turned into Superman the final 20, 30 games of this year, did everything for the Knicks, like took hit after hit, like was punished beyond belief for a player who in reality, like what JJ Redick, who has like stood next to him, said on the ESPN broadcast the other night that he's probably 5'10" or 5'11. I don't know if he's quite that short, but he might just be scraping 6 feet. And he gets pounded and he gets back up and he takes punch after punch and he just comes back. And to me, this almost peaked when that shot against the Bulls went in and out. And if that shot had gone, I would have been like, all right, like maybe he is just the MVP. Like he can literally do everything, and he had to do everything for the Knicks to be this good. And I don't know if all that work, all those hits have finally caught up to him. What I do know is Philadelphia's defended him brilliantly. Kelly Oubre, God knows why. Maybe when he got hit by that car, like he picked up a superpower himself. He's been fantastic defending him, chasing Brunson over screens, and Brunson. I think he's still leaning into some of the foul baiting a bit too much in his defense. Like to your point last show, it was the only thing that worked today. He was 7 for 9 at the free throw line, but I thought especially in the first half, you still saw him trying to draw fouls. I don't think he's explosive as he was to end the year. That could be for any of the aforementioned reasons. I think Joel Embiid's lack of health is weirdly almost working for Philly defensively, where he is going into this hyper deep drop. And it's essentially removing the rim for Brunson as an option. And typically that's not an issue for Jalen Brunson, but Oubre is doing such a good job chasing that those backside contests are really altering things. And with Embiid looming 2 or 3 feet out with that ever-present threat, if he separates from Oubre enough, Embiid's there to swat the shot. So he's kind of caught in anyone who's seen Harold and Kumar Escape from Guantanamo Bay. I'm not going to use the term, but a certain type of sandwich that's not the type of sandwich you want to be in. It's not good for Jalen Brunson right now. I do think there are some solutions there, some of which Benji suggested on this podcast coming to the series, which include setting screens higher up the court from him, let him get more of a head start, which they did at one point, and it ultimately led to a Donte DiVincenzo 3. I thought it was insane that the Knicks didn't spam the heck out of Isaiah Hartenstein doing dribble handoffs with all of the Knicks guards, because the Sixers were totally lost on those because Embiid would sink back, and it just created these wide open lanes similar to what Tyler Hero got when they played the Heat. So there's certainly meat on the bone. To me, the biggest thing, obviously, shots just have to fall for him at a certain point. But even more so than that, I think Brunson can just be a much better decision maker. There are times like one play where he forced an elbow jumper over double team and DiVincenzo was wide open on the wing. Like he just needs to get off the ball right now if he's not making shots, because everyone else is making shots and he can set them up. He's doing that to some extent. I think he can do it even more.
Yeah, it's still crazy though, just to look at the stat sheet, and for as much as we're saying that he had a terrible game, still led the team in scoring and led the team in assists in this game, which just speaks to the impact that this guy has and how much they need him to just play that much better. Like just, hey, maybe don't shoot 27%, maybe shoot 38%. And then
I don't think we've actually said it. So let's just say he was 8 for 29, 1 for 6 from 3, final stat line, 24 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. If you're looking for a silver lining, only 1 turnover, but 8 for 29. And I know I said it during the first show, but now 16 of 55 in the series.
Yeah, I think I'm with you in the sense of one thing that I would keep going back to too is the Isaiah Hartenstein 2-man game with him. Like that worked. That was what worked in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was what got Hartenstein all of his points, was just working that with Jalen Brunson. They set the tone real early with getting Hartenstein cutting to the rim for a big dunk. I mean, that kind of got the ball rolling for the Knicks. And Hartenstein, I don't know if we gave him enough credit in the last episode for the offensive contributions that he made, but like for as good as defense was, they desperately needed every single bucket that he got in this game. And a lot of those, to Jalen Brunson's credit, were thanks to the gravity he was creating. So I think it really just comes down to, for Brunson, just some of the somewhat tough shots that he's made all year just needs to start going down again. And we might be talking about a totally different, Jalen Brunson in games 3 and 4 and 5 and if needed, and if he figures it out, we might not even need a game 5. I mean, because if we get the best version of Jalen Brunson with how good Josh Hart, how good Donte DiVincenzo, how good Deuce McBride, Mitchell Robinson, Isaiah Hartenstein, OG Anunoby, even in this game, are all playing, like, forget about it. This series is basically over at that point. If Jalen Brunson figures things out to the best of his abilities, but we should probably give a little bit of praise to the rest of the roster here, because we gave it to the Villanova guys. We gave it to Isaiah Hartenstein in the first show. There was so much to talk about there, but I think Deuce McBride needs some praise again for having a really good 21 minutes in this game. Bojan Bogdanovic hit a couple big shots of his own. Mitchell Robinson held his own. OG Anunoby had a fairly decent game, so we're going to get into that in just a second here. But first, we're going to let you know about our buddies over at DoorDash. And you know what? This Mother's Day, get something thoughtful for mom on DoorDash. Surprise her from wherever you are with fresh bouquets, the latest tech, gift cards, self-care treats, and more to make her day that much better. You can get thoughtful gifts she deserves with the convenience you need. So choose same-day delivery or schedule a week ahead for when flowers and gifts should arrive to her door with DoorDash. Shop with savings that would make her proud. With a Dash Pass membership, you'll save with $0 delivery fee and reduced service fees on eligible orders from Dash Pass merchants that meet the minimum subtotal. Other fees, including service fee, may apply. Terms apply. So get all your Mother's Day gifts all in one place and get 50% off your next order up to $15 when you spend $15 or more on your next flower, convenience, grocery, or retail order now with the code LOCKEDONNBA. That's LOCKEDONNBA. Order using DoorDash today. Terms apply.
And we also want to tell you about our good buddies over at FanDuel. It's playoff time in the NBA and NHL. Baseball's in full swing, and FanDuel is your place to bet on every game. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150 whether you win or lose. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks on an app that is safe, secure, and easy to use. I'm looking at, Alex, Knicks Sixers series odds. Knicks are minus 520. It was probably a little bit better if you got in on them before the series, but considering Jalen Brunson is due for a bounce back, Joel Embiid certainly sounded pretty demoralized coming out of this game. Maybe you want to put a little bit of money down on the Knickerbockers, or if you want to be controversial, go ahead and bet on Philly. I dare you. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/lockdown and make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. All right, Alex, I want to get into the contributions of OG Anunoby, but before we do that, I think I have to go back to Deuce McBride. The stat line will not blow your mind in this one the way it did last time with that plus 37. In fact, he was the only Knick to have a negative plus minus in this game, -8. I feel like Clyde fixating on single game plus minus. He had a plus -8, Mike. 9 points. 4 for 11 from the field, 0 for 3 from 3, made his one free throw, 21 minutes. But what stood out to me is when we've seen Deuce really struggle this year, and even in the second half of this year, for all the shooting, which has been extraordinary and unimpeachable, it's been when he's been asked to create off the dribble. That has not looked good. And so many times when he got the backup point guard role, kind of by default after Emmanuel Quickley was traded, you'd have these possessions that were aimless and went nowhere. Those kind of mean the same things. And he just looked lost. And then he had 2 different buckets in this game. Pick and roll opportunities where he got by his man. Initially, his buddy Hield, snaked the screen, and then a pull-up foul line jumper over Paul Reed, fading away. That was dirty. And I was like, all right, he's not going to top that. And then when it was 88-82, Knicks trying to hold on, somehow getting 5.5 minutes into the fourth quarter with Jalen Brunson on the bench and essentially maintaining their lead. And the moment they brought Brunson in was after Deuce again snaked the pick and roll. Kelly Oubre slaps him on the elbow. He hits a fader again. And like all of a sudden, you're questioning the ceiling of this guy. And you're saying, all right, is there like an awesome isolation scorer in there beyond being an ace defender and an incredible like top 20 in the league type of spot up shooter? I don't want to put a ceiling on what he can be. It's probably an amazing role player, but again, 3-year, $13 million contract. I kind of feel bad for Deuce because on the open market, he's getting something like 3 for $50 right now if he keeps up what he's been doing these playoffs. Also, the player just ripped it out of Maxi's hands. I know Philadelphia's crying to the NBA. Maybe they're going to put that one on the tape. Go ahead. Deuce big boyed him, showed him why he was a high school football star, laid it in. That was awesome. Just a great game for our guy, Deuce McBride.
Yeah, I don't think the plus minus tells the story with him at all because he made some buckets when the Knicks really needed it in this game. I was impressed too. I'm with you. There were a few plays in this game where he legitimately played like a backup point guard's backup point guard. You know what I mean? Like actually was going ahead and making dribble moves and, creating penetration and everything else. And I feel like we're seeing him kind of grow up in front of our eyes in that respect. Like even a month ago, I would have said, yeah, I mean, I love Deuce. I love that he can make threes and whatever, but like, he's going to be at his best if you have like Jalen Brunson out there with him, or even like Bojan Bogdanovic, who can sort of handle some of the load with handling the ball some. But Deuce is doing great. I mean, to his credit, he's running pick and roll really well. He's, finding that burst off the edge a lot better. I thought that looked way better in this game. So yeah, deceptive stat line aside, I thought this was a great game for him. I want to sort of highlight OG Anunoby here a little bit too. I thought he had a pretty solid game as well. Again, another stat line that maybe doesn't like jump off the page at you. 4 of 10 shooting overall, ends up with 10 points, 4 boards, an assist, a block, 0 of 3 from 3. But I thought that his defense on Maxey was improved in this game, even though Maxey still went off to a degree. I mean, but it was a pretty low bar to start with because I really thought that his defense was pretty poor against Maxey in the last game. But I thought that we saw a little bit of a bounce back effort from OG in this game, Gavin.
Yeah, he did a great job chasing Maxey. He got burned on that third 3 early in the game. But I thought he put in some good time on him in that matchup. And I think it works even better when Embiid is out of the game, because when that happens, it opens up this wonderful world where your center can shade towards Maxey and doesn't have to worry about Embiid popping out and hitting a wide open 3. And just having that small deterrent of a center and deep drop slows Maxey down just enough that OG can contest him from behind and affect his shot. And that doesn't sound like a big deal just because Embiid plays so many minutes. But with the way Maxey just torched the Knicks in this game, like we didn't talk about that either in the first show. 35 points, 10 assists, 9 rebounds. Embiid finished this game with 34, 10, and 6, and the Knicks won when Brunson sucked. Like that's neither here nor there regarding OG Anunoby. I'm just going to say that's extraordinary. Those minutes matter when you can affect Tyrese Maxey, and I thought OG did that, and I thought there were some big moments from him offensively in this game. I'm going to revise what I said the other night where I said he doesn't look healthy. I think he's probably pretty much healthy. The confidence in his shot is not where it was when he got hurt. Like he looks really bad on some of these threes if they're not wide open, like the essential game winner one he hit the other night. Some were strong, some were short, some were weak, some were to the side. It didn't look good shooting the ball. Where he did look good shooting the ball is getting to his pull-up game. And again, I'm going to drive this home. You're going to get tired of me saying it because we're probably going to be 2 more episodes where I do nothing but talk about this. Keep running dribble hands off with Isaiah Hartenstein when Joel Embiid is in the game, because Embiid is going to drop towards the rim. And what it created for Anunoby twice in this game is wide open foul line jumpers. Anunoby put them away. He had some other just low-key plays that were exceptional that I don't think will get their just desserts tonight. But the hustle running the floor to draw a foul at one point and save a possession for the Knicks, getting a rebound and getting hacked in the process of doing it. And then another one right before Brunson came back in the game where him and Hart sort of ran an impromptu pick and roll. And I was like, ooh, that's intriguing. Hart hit him on a slip pass, and he hit a shot that was basically double pump, lefty over his head off the backboard. It was a sick finish. And then the capper, he was the guy who actually made that pass to DiVincenzo. Some people look at that and say, like, that's a simple play. He was wide open. To have the recognition and the patience, like what happens in all those March Madness games in the final seconds, teams panic. Even in the NBA, teams panic in chaos. The Knicks, what separates them even further in these moments is they have this innate ability to stay calm. And I think OG just having the IQ to say someone's wide open, I'm going to find them. Wait, it's our best three-point shooter, one of the three best in the league, who just took that shot. I'm hitting him again. He made it. OG, maybe not quite to the same extent as Donte, not quite to the same extent as Hartenstein. He was a hero on that play, Alex.
Yeah, and speaking of heroes and perhaps unrecognized ones to a degree, I thought Bojan Bogdanovic had his little hero moment in this game as well that I don't think should go unrecognized. Hit 2 huge threes at the beginning of the fourth for the Knicks in this one. The first one, which gave them the lead, if I'm not mistaken. I'm actually going to go back and read
79-78. It was.
So that gave them the lead, and then another one to push the lead to 7 with about 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Those were huge. I actually would argue when he got sat down shortly after those, I was kind of saying to myself, like, Tibbs, what are you doing, bro? Like, keep him in for just another minute. Like, let him hit 1 or 2 more of those. Like, he's obviously finally hot now. Like, he kind of struggled to find that shot overall. But yeah, it ends up, again, another unspectacular stat line on the overall, but the guy just continues to just have ice water in his veins when the Knicks need it the most. And I think that he's probably the final guy that I feel the need to highlight out of this lovely, lovely game that we've put together 2 basically full-length episodes about already.
Yep, I'm gonna make it just a little fuller because Mitchell Robinson was the guy who got him that game leading 3 or the 3 that got the Knicks the lead. There we go. It's really late. 2 offensive rebounds on that possessions with the Sixers just battling to not give up the lead. The Knicks, like, we didn't even really get into the full game. We're not going to do it now because it's too late and we have a lot of time, as you said, but it was so frustrating throughout the second quarter. The Knicks were just fighting so hard to keep it to 7-10. I don't know if I remember another game like it this year, Alex, where the Knicks pushed like that and another team every single time, or at least games where OG Anunoby was active, like the other team every single time find an answer. And credit Embiid, credit Maxey, credit the entire Sixers team is they kept making threes when it felt like the Knicks were going to make a run. And then in the second half, like the tease kind of continued because the Knicks would get within a point and they would find a way to just blow it every single time, like whether it was a missed call and a foul or at one point Jalen Brunson airballing with a chance to make the 3. And that's where those Mitchell Robinson rebounds felt so big to get the Knicks that lead at 79-78. Those were huge plays. And then even later down the stretch of this game, after those offensive rebounds, he pressured Embiid right into a turnover, like battled like heck for other offensive rebounds. One of them earlier in the game eventually led to an OG dunk. I thought it was dumb in the first half. He kept leaving Embiid open for threes when Embiid clearly doesn't have the legs to drive at full speed. So that needs to be adjusted. But overall, like you can't question the fight from Mitch. You can't question the fight from these Knicks. And Alex, in a game our whole lives, the Knicks would, I mean, you referenced the Reggie Miller game in the first part, would just find a way to be on the wrong end of. Tonight, they were on the right end of. And this is like, maybe this is being a New York sports fan, but outside of maybe the David Tyree catch in that second Giants Super Bowl, and I know that didn't do anything for you as a Jets fan. I felt like I've always watched these games and I've seen them happen. I was like, what would it be like to actually be rooting for that team? And tonight was, this is what it's like, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I guess my closest as a Knicks, Mets, Jets fan maybe would be Danny Murphy's 2015 Mets World Series run. That was sort of similar vibes where it was just pure euphoria every single night. So this definitely reached some of those highs of like Danny Murphy versus the Cubs in that NLCS that year. So yeah, definitely right up there. But yeah, I think we can cool off now, maybe get a little rest after recording 2 episodes tonight and get ready to load right back up and get back into some more Knicks talk prior to game 3 with the Knicks up 2-0. So everybody listening, thank you all for listening. Soak this one in, and we'll be back soon to talk more Knicks with you guys. Peace out, everybody.